I hope you're ready for a lot of Game& and Watch games in a row. This is the second of three Donkey Kong Jr. Game& and Watch ports, which I think each gets less good than the last. It released on March 7th, 1983. The plot of this one is once again a continuation of Donkey Kong. I'm assuming this one is once again prior to the arcade game and set in that same jungle, but probably after the first Game& and Watch game, given the heightened security. The manual here doesn't call the birds nitpickers, so if I end up calling them that here, I'm a fake fan. Here's some more gameplay demo stuff. Once again, it's not all that interesting. This Junior is a little bit better than the one in the first Game& and Watch game, but it's still nothing interesting to actually watch for very long. So the gameplay of this one is a lot. Unlike the first one, which was pretty quick, you just need to run past the nitpickers in that one and the snapjaws. This one is two screens, both of which have very different gameplay and enemies that you have to dodge. The bottom has snapjaws and sparks, which you just have to jump over, and then the top has the different chains and the birds that are flying by, and you have to dodge both the snapjaws and the birds at the top. There's a key you have to grab at the bottom, a key you have to grab in the middle, and then you have to put the key in the lock at the top. You get points for jumping over enemies and for grabbing the key and for unlocking the different parts at the top with Donkey Kong. Since this is Game A, I'm going to get to 300 points and show off the double point mechanic like the rest of the Game & Watch games. This one's definitely not bad at all. I can't say there's any glaring issues that I have with this one. It's just, I think it's a lot less overall fun. There's so much to keep track of. You need to keep track of the snapjaws at the bottom. You need to keep track of the sparks that are going above you, and you have to make sure you don't jump into them. When you're switching screens, you have to make sure there's not a snapjaw up top or that there's not a spark at the bottom. When you're climbing the chains, you can't jump from one to the other, so you have to make sure there's not going to be a bird that hits you on your way up. And it's just, you have to constantly be paying attention to everything, that it's hard to actually go quickly. You need to spend a lot of time waiting and making sure it's the right spot, or else you're just gonna get hit and take damage. I honestly don't even see why there is a key in the middle. I think it should just be one at the bottom and then one at the top, because it doesn't actually add anything. That one spot that it's at, the only thing that could hit you is a snapjaw, and you're going to be waiting there anyway for whenever you're making sure there's no sparks at the bottom, so it just doesn't really add anything to the gameplay. It doesn't make it harder either, it's just kind of there. And here we have Game B, which doesn't have a bunch of changes. It's just there's a whole lot more enemies to keep track of. Usually by the end, there's at least like 10 on screen at a given time, and you have to be really, really careful and make sure that you don't jump into one while you're jumping over another. It definitely took me some time to beat this one, probably like 40 minutes or so, kind of similar to the Donkey Kong tabletop Coleco game, not the Game & Watch one, but the other one. Once again, I have no massive issues with this one. It's just, I think there's a lot less time to have fun just because you're paying attention to so much all at the same time that it can get a little overwhelming.